self-care is not selfish. It's actually the biggest part of showing love that you could offer to your family, your friends, and your community.
As women, we nurture and take care of the world. And so it's just so important to make your health, your self-care numero uno. So
get around people who are going where you want to go and who are where you want to be. And that's exactly what I did. I wanted to be in real estate, so I got around people who were doing things in real estate that I wanted to do.
So you might not be able to move things around or change what happened to you, but if you can change the way that you see it and how you're reacting to it, there's a way.
Just do what you have to do. There's no excuse. This morning, I knew that if I didn't get up at 4 in the morning and clear out my emails and do everything that I needed to do.
You don't want the government to dictate or a judge to dictate how your hard-earned sacrifice and wealth gets distributed to your family and your loved ones.
Our culture is embedded in American culture. There are people who come to America and engage in American culture, which is Black culture. So Juneteenth is really about Black culture, and it's about celebrating us, celebrating the different diasporas of Black people, even the dialects.
Hello, everyone, and good morning, or happy Thursday. We are back at it again. We are super excited to have you with us on today for our Juneteenth Lunch and Learn yet again. September just seems to be flying by. It is like, it definitely is September to remember. So many things are happening. School started for those in the New York City area. Life is lifing, and we are present to the daily things that are happening with us. And so today I have a special guest. I'm really excited to have her with us today. She has let's see, I don't even know how to kind of talk about this young lady. So we first met when she was interning for someone to do some podcast. She was always extremely bright, always extremely engaged in everything that she did. And we just happened to be doing a casting call for models. And she came out to this casting call and she did her thing. Like, she was her normal self, very personable, very supportive, encouraging, asking like, how can she help? And that definitely got like everyone's attention in the team, right? So from there, we ended up having our leader of our fashion team. She got sick. And so we were like, we need someone, and we put the call out, and I reached out to Alyssa, and she was like, oh yeah, I've only done something like this one time before, but I'm up for the challenge. And I was like, okay. And when I tell you this young lady came in like a thief in the night and she stole the show, she definitely did. Okay. She came in, she organized things, put things together. And I think it was maybe a month before. Like it was in a short time. So I really appreciate her. I also appreciate her friendship because she's an amazing person. She challenges me in a good way, and lifts me up in a good way, and makes sure that I am doing my very best. So that's the type of friend, that's the type of partner, that's the type of encourager, that's the type of board member you want to have in your corner, who is always just there in those kind of capacities, because they're not just yesing you, right? And so that's the backstory of who you're going to meet. Now, let me tell you the front story of who you're going to meet. Miss Alyssa Luz is not only a world renowned artist, and she is in so many ways, but also a visionary leader who blends authenticity and artistry, and her love and for transformation in the healthy space, another space that she holds me accountable to, right? So, known for her extraordinary productions and raw talent, Alyssa has built a reputation for creating experiences in everything that she touches. And that is more than entertainment. She's a healer, she's a connector, and she is an empowerer. Her journey is fueled by purpose. And in 2020, she founded Intentions of Light, a private foundation that curates meaningful experiences where people connect with like minded individuals and rediscover their inner powers. And that is exactly what she does and who she is. By 2024, she expanded her mission with Plant Parenthood, a conscious community for women using their divine authority to cultivate families rooted in prosperity, longevity, and legacy. So let's welcome Miss Alyssa Luz to the stage. Whoop, whoop. Hey.
Hi, how are you?
I
Thank you for
am.
that amazing introduction.
You are welcome. Yeah, it is always um, a blessing, I feel like, to give people their flowers when they're still here, to hear them. And you, my dear, are one extraordinary individual in so many ways. And
Thank
so
you.
like I shared in my introduction, I'm just thankful to have you in partnership. I'm thankful to have you to be in my life. And I look forward to seeing where 2026 and the rest of 2025 is going to take us, because we got so many things like in store. And I know you have so many things in store because you've just been dreaming up over there. And so we're going to jump into talking all about that and just talking about a little bit about you. So to get us started, tell us about a little bit about yourself and how you got started on this journey.
Well, this episode is about favorite self mastery and following your dreams. And funny enough, Athenia mentioned my time as an intern with the LDM network. And around that time, it was a really interesting time for me. I was still in college, but this was like the month before COVID started, because this was in 2020. And I was on Backstage, which is a platform where you can look for acting and modeling jobs and different types of auditions in the entertainment industry. And I found this one, you know, to come in and be on a podcast. And I was like, okay, this sounds interesting. I could do that. And at this time, I knew I wanted to do some acting. I didn't really feel comfortable modeling ever, actually, because of my appearance. It wasn't, even though I made myself look cute and pretty, it still wasn't what I thought a model looked like. And I went to this podcast, and it was this little green room in the Bronx. And my dad came with me, I remember, my brother, and they waited outside for me because it wasn't the best area, honestly. And I did this podcast with Will and Charles. Shout out to them. They're really amazing. It's called the XY 101 podcast if you ever want to check it out. And then I left and never heard from them until a couple months later. They were like, hey, we're looking for a talk show host for the LDM show. And we really liked your energy and we want to do a test if it works and if you're the right fit. And I was like, okay, this sounds like something I'd be interested in, because I really wanted to do acting. And I was like, being on TV is good practice. It would help me try to do something in the industry I want to be in. And I did that for a few years. I want to say 2 to 3 years. And now I've transitioned into having my own podcast on the LDM radio, which is called Favorite Self. And in between that whole life span, I was able to go to parades, go to events, which is how I met Athenia, going to the Juneteenth NY festival. And it was really great, but then my personal life was just a hot mess. So when all these experiences came to my forefront, right? It came into my awareness, like, okay, I don't actually love being in the entertainment space in the way that I've been in it. And I really don't love the type of person I was becoming from my personal life experiences. And then with my family life, everything was like kind of falling apart. So I was just like, F all this. I'm done. And I decided to make a change. And at this time, I was introduced to a set of audios by brief mentor. Like, this person came into my life for genuinely 4 to 5 months, and I don't really have contact with them anymore. But it was like perfect, because they introduced me to this set of audios. The audios are called Your Wish is Your Command. And when I was listening to these audios, it was like everything I felt, but in words. So it was very powerful, because now I had the tools and the words to describe and create what I wanted. And I honestly was able to hone in and create what my favorite life looked like, my favorite self, right? Who I wanted to be, actually feeling good about myself, and actually clarifying my dreams. Because ever since I was a kid, I was like, oh yeah, I want to be an actress. Now I realize I never wanted to be an actress, but every single acting class I took, every single audition I went to, every single event I went to, it was really preparing me to be able to communicate, to be able to understand other people's emotions, to be able to show up and represent myself in the best light possible. So it was all really great experience, but it wasn't meant for me. And through it, I was able to figure out that, I want to help people be healthier, because like I said, throughout all of this experience, my health became a challenge. I watched many of my family members pass away at a very young age, be diagnosed with different illnesses and diseases. And I figured out that I have the power to help and educate people on how to be healthier, because I did it for myself. I have that personal experience. And knowing what I know now, I just want to tell the whole world. So everything I do is based on truly becoming your favorite self and following your dreams, because even though the circumstances may seem impossible, you really never know. You don't know what you don't know. You really never know what could happen, who could come into your life, what circumstances and events are in store for you, unless you truly clarify what you want for yourself. So
All right. Well, that's all, everyone. Thank you very much. Like, I told y'all she was amazing. So, wow, Alyssa, just sharing so much about your story. And it's funny because it's like everyone just heard my side of it and how it looks from my view, and then hearing the other side of things and what you were going through and how you were processing things. And it just proves the point when we say that there are multiple sides to a story, and not always thinking about a story in one dimensional. I'm very big on the 4 agreements, and where it's like, don't take things personally, don't make assumptions, because you really don't know what the trajectory of everything that's happening on the other end for someone else. And it just so happens that your lives collide at a particular point, and it may be a good experience or it may be a bad experience, and we have to take a step back sometimes to really understand what those experiences really and truly are. So you shared a lot about a number of different things. I want to dive a little bit deeper because health has been a journey. And I'm gonna try not to cry on this session because the life is life and for me, but health has been a very big part of the challenges. My mother-in-law just passed, and it was centered around her health, like not eating well, not taking responsibility in spaces, and not just her. We all are in that. We all are doing things that are not being responsible. So talk to us about how does the Planned Parenthood, and I love the name, right, create space for women to lead with their divine authority?
Yeah, so funny story. I became vegan for like a few months because I I'm gonna get really deep in this. At the age of 16, I was diagnosed with herpes and genital warts because I was not properly guided on the realness of STDs and sexually transmitted infections, right? And viruses. Yeah, we took health courses in school, but there, the amount of freedom I had as a kid to just go and be like at a boy's house, even though I would tell my mom I was at school, it was like, a little concerning. And my parents are absolutely amazing people. They've done everything to provide for me, make sure I was taken care of, and they've always let me be myself, which is amazing as well. It's allowed me to become the woman I am at the time that I did it. But this was part of that, life explosion of like, Jesus, I do not like who I am at all. And the doctors, by the time I was 20, told me, because I didn't really take it serious in the beginning. I was like, okay, I have this thing, but I still don't get what is the severity. Basically, you are more susceptible to illness because it messes with your immune system. So things like cancer, things like with genital warts, you can get ovarian cancer and things like that. Like, you're more susceptible to illness. And you can also pass these viruses onto your children when you do have the desire to have children. And these are still transmittable to any partners you have in the future. So I was told by the doctor by the time I was 20, when I was no longer with my partner at that time. I was with them for over 5.5 years. And now I'm like, okay, if I'm going to have a new partner, like, I need to take care of this. And the doctor was like, you're going to have to take medication for the rest of your life. And I was like, no, I'm not. That's crazy. And funny how social media works. Once you start thinking about something, like, the ads start coming up, the people, the videos, you're like, oh my God, I was just thinking about this. Like, they're freaking listening to me. But no, that's how the mind works. Once you put out a thought, experiences, circumstances, events, people, they're going to come into your life. Okay. And I found out about Dr. Sebi, about a program. It was called I'm Surviving Vegan, about how you can use your diet to correct any illness and disease in the body and rebalance your health. So I had nothing to lose, and I went all in, completely cut out any dairy, any meat, any processed food for honestly a good 2 years. I was on a very strict detoxing regimen. At one point, I reached about 98 pounds because I had lost over 60 pounds. And it was for the better. Like, it was not easy at all. But throughout this journey, I learned that it wasn't at all about what I was eating, but it was all about how I was feeling. And the connection to foods that we have are all based on how we feel. There's something called a cravings chart, and you guys can look this up. It basically gives you insight on the foods that you're craving and what emotions you may be holding on to or avoiding. So, for example, my friends that love spicy, salty foods, you're redirecting anger. For my friends that love sweets, there's challenges there with self-love, self-worth, giving and receiving love to other people. For my people who love the bready foods, the chewy, the crunchy, you're relieving stress. You have a desire for being nurtured. For the people who love the creamy foods, so ice cream, milk, people who love smoking, my potheads out there, the people who love hookah, you have a desire to be nurtured as well. So once I found this out, I was someone who loved sweets. Like as a kid, my diet was a deli diet, but I didn't get anything from the op, right? Not from behind the counter. I went to the snack aisle and I got all my little Debbie's, my oatmeal pies, my cookies, my candy, my Jolly Ranchers. It was honestly really bad. And like I mentioned earlier, this was all centered around my self-worth, how I felt about myself. I did not like myself. But I didn't think this because at the end of the day, I thought I was hot stuff. I thought my poop didn't stink. I thought nobody could touch me. But I had a nasty attitude. I was not nice at one point. I was actually a bitch a lot of the times. And this is because of how I really felt about myself. So once it came into awareness, then it was like, okay, I can confront this. I can work on this. I can change this. And that's what I did. And once I began to change my diet, changed how I looked at myself, my health changed. I'm no longer have herpes. I no longer have genital warts. I've was on birth control for many years. So now my challenge was recorrecting my hormones. And that's just a process at this point. But in terms of my health, I never get sick, never have a cold, a flu, a sniffly nose. I can go work out. I don't get sore. I have so much energy. It's ridiculous. Even if I sleep for 3 hours, I will stay up for 21. Like it is amazing the amount of energy the body has if you allow it to heal itself, because that's all it's ever doing. Your body is meant to be alive. You are life force. You are flowing energy. And if you work with that, you can really change your life.
Wow. So that was a lot. And I'm sitting here looking up these cravings chart like, really? Let me find it out. But so very interesting. And I'm like, I want to learn a little bit more about this. And I've been doing my own kind of healing journey myself. So not such an in-depth story, but as yours, but definitely just seeing death all around me, right? Seeing family members not being able to take control and having 3 little ones coming up behind me, 3 kids. And I'm like, what they see me and my husband do or what they are going to emulate. They're going to take that on. They're going to, say, oh, this is what my mother did. And it's very true. I mean, my kids, we would make 2 meals in the house and I would be eating a no starch diet. And my kids are like, oh, mommy, I wonder what that spaghetti squash tastes like. And I'm like, well, here, come and take it. Taste it. And that's just the start. It's in their mind. So when they see it, it's not like they don't know what it is, or if they're offered it, if they let's say go to Italy or something like that. I don't know if they do that in Italy, but they go somewhere where it may be prevalent. They can, utilize it. Or I've been doing a lot of studying on this, almost like, not to be dreadful, but like end of days and like how to prepare, like getting back to the basics and understanding like how to grow our food and how to take care of things from the earth so that we can have our own resources internally and not have to rely on external resources to be able to sustain us within our home and what that looks like. And a lot of it is like, yeah, I have to be able to eat these vegetables and these fruits and I have to be comfortable with it. And I have to feel satiated. Like I have to feel like that's enough. and not feel like, oh, I'm still craving these additional things. So I definitely want to go deeper and learn more about what you just shared about this cravings chart, because maybe that's another thing to kind of bring into space. And especially when my kids are like, oh, they gotta eat candy, and I'm like, okay, you need a hug, like, it's you need some emotional time, you need to, like, let's talk, let's this. How can we help to kind of skirt around that? So thank you for sharing that. Now,
Yeah.
I don't know if you share what your, so Planned Parenthood now is your baby. This is an organization that you started. And what do you, I guess, what is there? It is a workshop? Is it are it classes? Is it just a way of living? Is it what exactly is the Planned Parenthood organization?
Yes. So actually, you answered the question that you originally asked also by explaining how you lead in your own household and your kids follow whatever you do.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the essence of Planned Parenthood. The woman, even though, yeah, you need the man to create life, she brings the life into the world. She nurtures the life. She lifts up the life. She even lifts up the man. And understanding that authority, that we were created that way, that we agreed to be this way, that is the essence right there of what Planned Parenthood stands for. And the reason why it's a community is because there's an old saying, right? It takes a village to raise a child. And even understanding that a mother is one person. She does need support. She does need help. She does need her sisterhood. And together we can learn from each other. There's so many different types of mothers out there. There's so many different types of lifestyles out there. But at the end of the day, we still have that same divine purpose of bringing life into this earth and nurturing that life and cultivating life, so that way when we're no longer here, we know that they're good, we know they're taken care of. We've taught them so well that we have knowingness in our heart that if, God forbid, I leave this earth tomorrow, my child is okay, my child will be taken care of. And personally, I've witnessed also a lot of challenges, especially growing up in a place like New York and Brooklyn, where there's poverty, the projects, a lot of illness and disease, a lot of anger, a lot of people go to jail for no reason, people on medications. Like, it's honestly it's a driver seeing all of this, because this is just out of ignorance. Sometimes it's out of a lack of awareness of a other opportunity. It's out of a just pure fear, honestly. But when we come together and we feel supported and we feel uplifted, that is when we can operate from our favorite self, right? That is when we can feel like, okay, I feel stable enough to follow my dreams. And for me, with Planned Parenthood, I started it as an online community because that's where I met most of the women that supported me throughout my detox journey and throughout becoming who I wanted to be. However, I hate online stuff. I don't love social media. I don't like even this of us having to do this virtually. Like, I want to give you a hug, girl. Like, it's only as real as you make it. So I started off doing retreats. I had my first retreat last weekend in South Carolina from September 12th to September 15th. Yes. And it was the first of many. So I know it's going to be a retreat program. We're still gonna have some online stuff because at the end of the day, that is what's accessible to some people, and the mission is much bigger than me. It's much bigger than my likes and my desires. So I educate strictly online, just like little 1 hour clips of what options are out there, right? Because it's not just being vegan, it's not just eating healthier. You can also go into the energetics of life. There's things like astrology, numerology, human design, there's naturopathic doctors, there's people that do thought field therapy, which is a type of acupressure. There's all different types of modalities that can aid healing that people do not have an awareness of, but they work if you believe in them, if you accept them, and if you allow them to work. And a lot of the times, nowadays, if you look at the statistics, our children are coming out with illnesses, with learning and developmental issues and delays. Autism is very high nowadays. And it's because of the honestly, it's not just because of the food, it's not just because of the vaccine. It's because of the energetic trauma that these parents have, and then they're bringing a child into their life without healing themselves first, and they're wondering why they're given another challenge. And it's because they never confronted and dealt with their own issues, and now they're just out here creating life, and they're like, well, damn, my life just got harder. And it's like, it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be this way. We can change everything if we choose to. And that is the real essence of what parenthood is. When I created the name, I'm like, it really is planting seeds, because some of these things I even said right now, people checked out. They're like, what? Astrology, that's the devil. And I'm like, you don't know what you don't know, okay? You can't judge a book by its cover. You can't assume anything, right? Like Athenia shared. And unless you try it for yourself, unless you listen to the people who have real testimonials, who have done it for themselves, listen to people who have what you want. There's people out there that completely reverse their children's autism because they made a change, because they chose to advocate for their children. So, it's really putting women in the position to do exactly that, to advocate for their children and to be the mothers that they were designed to be.
Yeah, I really love that. You said a lot when it comes to like you said, the mother leading the household. And yeah, I mean, I am a advocate of that. And when mom is gone, like there's so many things that go awry, and it's because that they are the glue. Like that was what he created them to be, the glue of the household, to be the backbone of the house, the children, the husband, all of those things. So you talked a lot about things that have gone well for you, but we know that wherever good is present, sin is also present. So like, what challenges have you faced in following your dreams, and how did you overcome them?
Wow. I would say the biggest challenge I faced for a while was poverty mentality, because there was a point in time where I completely stopped working. I didn't have any source of income. And at the same time, I'm very low maintenance. The only thing I really spend my money on is food. And that's because I invest in good quality food. I only get organic, I get whole foods, I go to the farmer's market. I'm the only one that eats like this in my house. So I'm usually just making meals for one. So it's very low cost. Um, Beyond that though, my self-image completely changed because of this. I was like, oh, like I'm taking care of the bare necessity of making the people in my household. So with my mom, my dad, my brother. Now, 3 years later, we're finally better. Like my parents even talk about it all the time. They're like, "Oh wow, we can actually talk and have a conversation." Because there was a point in time where it was like all hell broke loose. It was really bad, and that was definitely a challenge, because when you decide to work on yourself and now all these feelings come to surface and you don't even know how to handle it, it can seem and feel like you're going crazy. Like, I remember at one point my dad sat down with me and he was like, "Look, Alyssa, I think you should really see, professional help, because I think you might be bipolar. It runs in your family." And I looked at this man, I'm like, "Are you freaking crazy right now? You need to see a therapist." And it was because of the things I was releasing. Like, it was very, very strong and very it was scary, honestly. You would have thought I was being exercised or something. Like, it was crazy. And with this poverty mentality, you know, I wouldn't allow myself to have the things that I wanted because I didn't even think it was possible. And when I listened to those audios, Your Wish is Your Command, it was kind of like the shift for me, because now I was like, wait, I don't need to work hard for money. I don't need to use my time to make money. I can create money in any way that feels good for me because I was gifted and endowed with the power to create. You know, even if you're someone who's religious, that's something that is a promise. Your needs are always taken care for. You are a child of this world. You don't have to suffer. You do not have to torture yourself in order for your needs to be taken care of. They already are. And once I changed that, then I was able to start looking good and actually feeling good because my mind had shifted and I was operating from this place of abundance, from this place of creativity. And it also changed the amount of work I was able to do for other people, because it's not just about going out and getting a check. It's about what value do I bring to the table that people even want to exchange with me energetically, because that's all it really is.
Yeah.
So that was definitely the most challenging situations that I had to deal with, but it helped me to be better today.
Wow. I would have never guessed. I'm glad I met you on the other side of this. And say if you would have knew me back when I was a yeah. But I'm glad to know this side of you. Not to say that the other side, but it needed to happen in order for you to appreciate where you are today. And a lot of times we are in spaces and we don't appreciate our past. Like we want to forget it, or we want to shy away from it. And it's like, no, we need to dive into it to be able to understand our future more. By understanding our past, we will grow to be a better future for ourselves and for others around us. So I thank you for accepting that and for being in that place. You talked about being a creative, and you are a creative in so many different aspects. So what role has art played in your path towards your personal and your collective healing?
Oh my gosh. So I, as a kid, did everything from dance, gymnastics, photography, painting, acting, singing, like every single extracurricular you can think of, I probably did it. And it is out of that drive to create. Kids are the most creative human beings ever. And it's because they have that fresh energy. They have that desire to be free. If a kid were to scribble on a piece of paper and it would look like scribbles to us, but you ask them, what is this, Johnny? He'll be like, that's the ocean, and that's a dolphin, and that's you riding the dolphin. Like, they will come up with this whole story just off some scribbles. And I think that's absolutely beautiful, and we should preserve that. And let your kids tell you they're bored. Give them a piece of paper and some crayons. They will be fine. And that's one thing, my parents never let me be bored. So I had every single toy you could think of, and I'm honestly grateful. Yes, I had video games later on in life, but I grew up in the era where we didn't have cell phones and TVs everywhere, you know? So I was always with my family, with my cousins, playing silly games. But it was just that act of creating, right? And as I got older, that was something that was preserved within me. It was definitely not to the same extent, but because of, that whole challenge with the poverty mentality and thinking that I need to work hard, I need to, exchange my time for money, things like that. But I still always went back to creating. So when COVID hit and everyone was on lockdown, that's when I had started my first business. And it was called Shop Light of Your Life, because every single thing that I created was kind of like a piece of me. It was like a little light. And I wanted to gift it to people. I'm someone who loves giving the perfect gift. Like, it has to be something that makes sense, that you like, something that you'll use, or when you look at it, like, it makes you feel good. So I used to make different gifts whether it was coasters, water bottles, keychains, just anything customized. And I really poured my heart into it. But after a while, I was like, wait, I'm still doing this for money. Like, it's still not how I want it to be. But I would go to these pop-up shops and different events, and then it really got me into realizing, like, wait, if they could do this, I could do this. So I started doing events and curating spaces for other creatives like me to have a safe space to actively create and do what they love. 90% of the times it was people that do music, people that do poetry, people that like to rap, people that like to sing, right, who do music. And it was really nice because after the whole entire event was all said and done, people would come up to me and be like, thank you for this. This was amazing. Let me know when you're doing the other one. And I'm just out here like, oh, I was just doing this because this is something I like. And then when I had the opportunity to do the fashion show, this was around the time where I had lost weight already. I was feeling good about my appearance and I wanted to do modeling. I don't want to do modeling anymore, but it gave me the opportunity to still create something special because after every fashion show, the models, all the Juneteenth board members, they would come up to me and they would tell me how amazing their experiences were, how much they loved to be a part of the production. And it really gave me a whole new perspective on creation. And that's what wanted me to allow to create experiences for people because it is a co-creation in a way, even though it's my vision and I'm able to, set up how the scenery is going to be. So many people get so much more value out of it than I ever expect. But, nowadays I do what feels good. If it feels good, if I know it's in my heart that it feels right, that's what I create. There was a point in time where it felt like boxed in, like I only had to do this with the creating the gifts and stuff for money. But now I've expanded so much that I just feel like I can create literally anything.
No, I see that. I see it coming to fruition. I'm excited to hear more about the retreat and how it was on another time. But I love your trajectory in all of the different things. And it's funny as you were talking about all of the things that you were involved in. I'm like, that sounds like my daughter. She wants to, even though she be in the bathroom singing her heart out, and we be like, oh my gosh, can you stop singing? Because you so dancing, cheerleading, acting, like whatever it is, she wants to try it out. And even if even having a conversation with her the other day, I was like, is there anything that you would like to change about yourself or you would like to be better? And she was like, no, I'm perfect the way I am. And I was like, come on, girl, like you only 8 years old and you and I want to keep that for her. I really want to keep that for her. And I'm like, all right, Lord, help me to protect her so that she continues to have that mindset about herself, and she doesn't need to feel like she needs to be other people. So thank you for sharing a little bit about your story, and I'm actually have her listen to this so that she can hopefully get inspired on what her trajectory for her own life is. So where I'm coming is, I know I always say this, I'm like, I feel like the time is going by so fast. Like we've gone through, we've shared so many different things, and we've talked a lot about your businesses and the trajectory and how that has kind of consisted. We talked about your life role. I do want to know like how you bring it all together, right? How have you brought in balance between being creative, being an entrepreneur, being a leader, being a community builder? Like how do you bring balance? Are there rituals or things that you do to help you maintain your balance and everything?
Yeah, that's such a funny question because sometimes it feels like it's not balanced, especially when I'm working on a project. That's all I think about. And that really is the secret sauce is you become what you think about most of the time. So if there's something that you want, focus on it. Focus on it, focus on it, concentrate, concentrate, concentrate and prioritize. For a long time, my priority was my health because I knew I didn't want to be on medication. I knew I didn't want to get no disease, no illness, like things that run in my family, right? Diabetes, cancer, stupidity. No, I'm kidding. I love my family. Alcoholism, you know, a lot of them were addicted to drugs. And I knew I wanted something different. So that's what I focused on for a very long time until I felt like, okay, I'm at a standard where now I can prioritize other things. So now I was able to add on the events and producing different things. But every time I did an event, it was like for 3 weeks straight, that's on my mind. I would wake up and automatically I'm like visualizing, okay, like I had an art show in the beginning of this year. Every single time I would wake up in the morning, I'm like seeing the art show and like me walking around the gallery and like how the food is going to be set up. Every single time I do something, that is how my mind works. I'm constantly thinking about how I want it to look, not what I don't want to happen and what I'm worried about happening. I'm thinking about exactly what I want. And it helps to know what you want. It helps to know what you're focused on, writing it down. You know, white paper, blue ink, write everything down. If you get an idea, write it down. Because later on, that idea is going to be a multi-million-dollar idea. You really never know. And, you know, lately, I've been handling a lot of different projects. You know, I did the retreat. I got a new position. I'm at a detox studio here in New York. So we do colon hydrotherapy, we do saunas, lymphatic drainage. That is a position that I have to constantly be on. I got another position doing marketing and sales. So there's definitely a lot on my plate. But when it's time for me to focus on that one specific thing, that's all I'm thinking about, because everyone's given the same amount of time. You know, if you're watching and you have a calculator in your hand, I want you to do 60 times 24. That's how many seconds you have in a day. It's a never ending check in your bank account that renews every single day. You have to spend every single second. That's how many seconds you have to utilize. And if something, I look at that number, if that number was cash in your bank, you'd be like, damn, I'll pay off my mortgage. I'll go buy a new car. Like, you'll think of all the things you spend that money on. But guess what? That is the seconds you have every single day. Every single thing you spend time on, time is money, right? You will get back a reward 10 times more than what you put out. So definitely knowing what my priorities are, what do I want the most, what do I feel the best about, and focusing when it's time to focus is definitely challenging at first, right? Some people will say, oh, I have ADHD, I have all these things, or my phone is distracting. You know, successful people do what other people are still talking about. Successful people do what is inconvenient, and successful people do what other people don't want to do. And it's because of that drive to be successful, that drive to have what you want, and that drive to create what you want. You can't just say, oh, you know, I just want to, you know, be comfortable and live my life. No, you have to dream big. And the bigger you dream, you will surprise yourself, because there's definitely plenty of things I never in my life would have thought that I would have accomplished. I never would have thought I would have been in business for myself. Nobody in my family is a business owner. I never would have thought I would have been able to be like, yeah, I hosted the Puerto Rican parade. Yeah, I was on TV. Yeah, I did. Never. I would never thought I would have been able to say, yeah, I went to Italy, I went to Greece, and I paid for it all myself, or it was free. I never would have thought I would have been able to say, yeah, I went to Puerto Rico for free. None of these things. But it's because of that thinking, that out and focus and that clarity on what I want for myself.
Wow. Well, you have to come back and talk to us about how we can go on a trip for free, because I need a vacation like now. And even though I'm going to Costa Rica for my mom's funeral, it's still not in the best of spaces, you know. So I know that I need that, and so I want you to help me manifest that for sure. So definitely, we gonna talk about that, sis. So as we are coming to the end and the close of this session, a question that I ask everyone who is here, and you've been on a couple of times, so But we do know, just like as our timelines change and we are in different spaces in our worlds, the answers to this question also becomes different. So I will ask you, what does Juneteenth mean to you today?
So Juneteenth means to me expansion and freedom. You know, understanding the history behind Juneteenth, having the privilege to work with you and Juneteenth NY, I've learned so much, honestly. And that idea of expansion, you know, this past year, I took my current partner Anthony with me to Gracie Mansion, and he was looking around and he was like, this is interesting because many people often just think of the freedom of slaves when it comes to Juneteenth, but understanding that shift in the mindset of every single person that was around during that time period allowed for the expansion of every single generation after. You know, it allowed for women to be in places of authority and of power. It allowed for other cultures and other races to have opportunities that were not available to them. We hear about genocide, we hear about segregation, we hear about concentration camps, and that were created here in America, and throughout history. And it always came with a mind shift that allowed to see other people as greater than who they really are, and understanding that we all have that greatness and that we all can truly be great as long as we see ourselves that way. So expanding the way you see yourself, expanding the opportunities available to you and every single person, that's really the energy that Juneteenth has shown me, and I'm very grateful to know what I know now.
Well, absolutely. Thank you so much, Alyssa. Thank you for that answer. And thank you for joining us again for another amazing session with Juneteenth NYC. We are thankful for you pouring into us today with your wisdom, with your warmth, sharing your example of what it means to thrive in your purpose and on purpose for your wellness. So thank you very much. And I pray that you have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your week, indeed. And again, thank you for being with us.
You as well. And thank you to everyone for listening and watching. And if you guys ever have questions about anything that I mentioned today, I'm an open book. Just reach out, just ask.
Yes, and you can find you at Veggie Godmother on Instagram. And do you have a website for your business or businesses?
Yes, however, it's not like a simple website, so you can find it on Instagram. It's like
Got
a
it.
Planned Parenthood Canva, you know.
Gotcha.
Sometimes you gotta do the free version of things.
Consistent in life is change. And we have to be able to embrace it so that we can understand more about who we are to be. Um, Alyssa talked about her pathways to self mastery. She talked about how she healed herself, and that is really amazing. She also talked about community transformation, something that we here at Juneteenth are always looking to do, and looking for you to tap into to be able to do as well. And I say that to say we are in the process of inviting people who are interested in joining our advisory board. You've met a number of our advisory board members over the months. of this year. They've come on and have done some presentations. They talked about how amazing they are. And you too are amazing. So we would love to have you if you're interested in being a part of this movement. It's not just a day of celebration. It is really and truly a movement of change and how we are investing in each other and investing in our community. Excuse me. So please go to juneteenthny.com and you can go to advisory board or to get more information and sign up so you can have an interview and go through the process of, is this the right fit for you? So thank you again, Alyssa. Our story is proof that when you align your passion with your purpose, you don't just change your life, you light the way for others to do the same. Excuse me. Oh. So thank you again. Thank you for sharing your light and showing us what is capable. Happy Juneteenth, everyone. We love you and have a great day. Bye.
So with the brand new album, and I'm talking hits.
Juneteenth Festival was a full celebration. Help us keep this culture alive. Donate today. Please like, share, and comment. Register now at juneteenth.ny.com. Thanks for watching. Us. Please like, share, and comment. Register now at juneteenth.ny.com. Thanks for watching.